Linking data within the same worksheet. We have arrived at a really useful part of our Excel journey, learning how to connect data across different places. Specifically, we're going to look at pulling data from one worksheet into another, and even pulling data from entirely separate workbooks. Take a look at the worksheet on my screen. I've got a small table set up here: devices, fashion, appliances, household. My goal here is pretty simple. I want to grab the total sales figure for each of those categories and display those values on a separate second sheet. Now, because this is such a tiny data set, you might be tempted to just look at the numbers, flip over to the second sheet, and type them in manually, or maybe copy and paste them. But here is the problem with that approach. If I just type the number in, and then next week the sale amount changes, my second sheet is going to be wrong. It won't update, it's static. A much smarter way to handle this is to create a link to the cells. The process of linking cells is actually incredibly straightforward. Let's start with the basics by linking to a cell on the same worksheet, just so you can see the mechanics. If I click into a blank cell here, and I decide I want it to show the fashion total, I start exactly like I'm writing a formula. I type an equal sign. Then, I just click directly on the cell that holds the value I want. In this case, the fashion total sales. When I hit enter, Excel pulls that value right into my new cell. Here is the best part. If I go back to the original main table and change one of the sale figures, watch what happens. The cell I just linked to total sales updates instantly as well. That is the power of linking. It creates a dynamic connection rather than a static snapshot. Connecting to different worksheets. Now that we understand the concept, let's try it for real on a different worksheet. The process is almost identical. I'll navigate over to my second worksheet. I want the fashion total sales here, so I'll click in the cell and type an equal sign. Now, I need to go find the data. I'll click on the tab for the main worksheet. Before we click the cell, glance up at the formula bar. You'll see Excel has started writing the reference for us. It says the worksheet name followed by an exclamation point. That exclamation point is just Excel's way of saying, hey, what comes before this mark is the worksheet name, and what comes after is the cell address. It separates the two. Now I'll click on the cell containing the fashion total sales, cell D7. The formula bar now shows the full path: the worksheet name, the exclamation point, and the cell reference. I hit enter, and boom, the sales value appears on my second page. Let's test the connection again. If I go back to the source data and change a figure for fashion total sales, let's make this value 5,000. When I check my second sheet, that linked cell has automatically updated to match. It's working perfectly. I'm going to quickly repeat this for the other categories, so we have a full set. I type equals, click the main tab, select the device's total sales, and hit enter. Then again, equals, jump to the other sheet, grab the appliances total, enter. And one last time for household. Equals, select the cell, enter. These numbers look a bit raw, so I'll quickly apply some formatting. Think about how much time this saves. I have created a completely dynamic report. I never have to worry about manually updating this page again. No matter how much the data on the original sheets changes, this report will always tell the truth without me lifting a finger. Linking across different workbooks. We've mastered linking within the same sheet and across tabs in the same file. But what if your data lives in a totally different Excel file? I have another workbook open right now. To make this easier to follow, I'm going to use the window snapping feature to put these two workbooks side by side. I'll just drag this window to the right edge of my screen so they share the space. Back on my main sheet in the first file. Now, let's pull in the sales from that separate file. The method hasn't changed. I type an equal sign in my cell. Then, I simply move my mouse over to the other workbook and click the cell I want. Take a close look at the formula bar now. It looks a little more intense. You'll see the name of the external workbook enclosed in square brackets. That tells Excel, look inside this specific file. Following that is the worksheet name, and then finally, the cell reference. It can be a bit messy, especially if your file names are long, but the logic is consistent. Also notice that when linking externally, Excel automatically makes the cell reference absolute. you'll see those dollar signs in there. I'll hit enter and the value flies across from the other file. I'll just quickly do the rest. Equals and equals. The big question is, does the dynamic link still work across different files? Let's find out. I'll go into the main workbook and make a change to the data. Let's type in 7,000. When I hit enter, if you look at my table in the other file, the value has updated there too. The link is live and active.